Welcome, everybody. Hello, thank you for coming. Ding dong. Hi. This is a formula in process. We don't have Matt. So in the meantime, let me introduce you to Leonardo Genovese on piano. And Aaron Burnett on the saxophone. Yes, fashionably right on time, Mr. Mathew Stevens. And I also just like to acknowledge Fernando Lodeiro, who's our engineer and doing the sound today. This is a formula in process. We'll talk about these later, but this is formula 11. You can clap. I got a very gentle, see if it's for me. I got a very gentle and generous note from a friend who's 7 who came to the shareback last night. And her note was, can you talk less and do more music? So we're going to incorporate that loving feedback, and I'm already breaking it right now because I feel so compelled to talk, but we're just going to play some more formulas and then talk about them later. Also, that's kind of, look, here we go. I'm going to do it. It's also calling in some of the guidance of one of our council members, Dr. Susan Hanser, who every time I want to tell her about a new song that or something that I'm working on, she's like, no, let me just hear it first and get the experience, and then and then we can talk about it later. So, thank you, Dr. Susan Hanser. This is Formula 9, but I think it might actually be Amulet 1, because the song is an amulet. It's different than a formula. So, this is Amulet 1. Y'all ready? Okay. Am I ready? Can you let your real feelings shine? Can she let her real feelings shine? If the answer isn't yes and yes, you probably walk in enchanted with her. To make you believe you're not alone. When we are connected by our alone, don't trade that beauty for her. Beauty to make you believe you're not alone. When we are connected by our alone, don't trade that beauty for her. Part of it's making you believe she's really with you and whatever you'll be rambling on about. But how could anybody else really know what it's like to be you? Of course you get hooked on the substitute for sanctity you never felt or treated yourself to, and a body seeking power to feel safe in love will use that to woo you and make you believe you're on a throne when you are already, if you don't know by now, here where mind who you let into the temple of your home. Body home, sex home, heart home. If you can't tell on your own who wants to drink you and who is full enough to meet you in unentangled bliss. To meet you in unentangled bliss. It could be the bliss of being alive, a loving sexual adult that doesn't need to consummate some other more addictive version of what you already hold. Where if you can't tell on your own who wants to drink you and who is full enough to meet you in unentangled bliss. talking context, talking-based context. That amulet is intended to serve as a protective force field to protect you from the enchantment of another. When you feel yourself being like, sucked into an enchantment, the idea is maybe you don't have the like, the strength or the suppleness or the surrenderness in that particular moment to kind of like, move away or be non-entangled. So the idea is you can utilize the song like an amulet, which is all fine and dandy, and that prompt grew out of a combination of being a person who's susceptible to enchantment and being guilty of waving my magic wand and enchanting others, or at least convincing myself that I was enchanting others. And as we were working on that and discussing these themes like narcissism and how we can get sucked into narcissistic relational patterns, I remembered that I had like a come to Jesus about how a way I had enchanted someone caused a lot of harm. And I thought that a companion to that formula could and should be a formula that is a kind of accountability, like self-accountability of when you've been on the other side of that enchantment and have enchanted and it's caused harm and loss of connection. So inspired by some of the writings of Elder Malidoma Somé around exhuming pain in public within community so that it can't fester and grow. This is perhaps a formula to tend some of those festering owies that come from us realizing we've caused harm. Boy. This is Formula 10. Well, it's Formula 10 in process. I saw what I wanted and took it for me, with all the strings attached like they're supposed to be. I didn't know how deep some feelings can go, and you can really do some damage down there in the soul of another. Exactly. It's so real. I wanted and got it opened up to me so fast I didn't learn the dance of how to treat these beings that walk and talk and breathe. And you can really do some damage down here in the role of a lover. Nobody watching over to make sure we don't waste love cupped right to our face. Can you see it? When you taste it, can you be it? We're just angels on earth, but didn't know it. Now see the root of the curse that made me throw it away. With all this love in my heart, I couldn't show it. Touching the sting of my shame, no need to grow it now. Maybe we'll try it again someday when I learn to love. For real, angel, may you find yours too. It's not to absolve responsibility, and there's no going back. The scars are plain to see. I know well I put you through a living hell. This is a way to make the damages clear, so I won't do another that way. Nobody watching over to make sure we don't waste love cupped right to our face. Can you see it? And when you taste it, can you be it? I'm not that angel on earth, but didn't know it. Now see the root of the curse that led me through it away. With all this love in my heart, I wouldn't show it. the rain. We could be rain. Give up the rain. We could be rain. Give up the rain. We could be rain. Give up the rain. Oh, our drummer's not here today. That's why there's this sad department in the stage. It's like, oh. But our dear brother and ally and just glorious entity, Francisco Mela, has been with us these days, developing these formulas. So shout out to Francisco, Papo Mela. We could be, give up the rain. We could be, give up the rain. Could we try something? There's a formula that is we haven't started really putting it together yet, but I'd love to try, for those who are willing to sing, to hear how these two parts go together. It feels like at the end of this formula, we're encouraging each other to let the smoke screen fall. And the way that like particulates in air collect water and can become clouds, which can create rain, is this image of letting go of the desire to hold the shape of the smoke screen and release all that water that's needed and being held up by the pressure of trying to hold this illusion of us being okay with the smoke screen. So at the end, there's this like throw back and forth that could be really beautiful. So can I just, no pressure, can I just get a show of hands if anybody who'd be willing to sing and try that? 3 people, great. How about over here? Okay, it's not enough people, it's okay. We'll just put it on the record, you can buy it. Songwrights Apothecary Lab.com. Consent is important, you know, I don't want to put no pressure on people to sing. So never mind, we'll move right along to Formula 7.
Really, come on.
Well, you know.
Yeah, come on,
Oh, now you want to sing. Now you want to sing. Okay.
come on now.
They say everything you chase runs away. Then when you run away, you chase it? Okay. Okay, cool. Great. Let's try it. So one part says, give up the rain. 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 Beautiful. The other part says, we could be rain. We could be rain. We could be rain. Oh, it sounds so beautiful. Y'all sound good? I see you were withholding because you know you had something precious. Like, you don't get it for free. Do I get a cut to be all of that? Okay, so they interlock. I need somebody who has really good sense of time to play this with me the first time. Anybody? Any takers? Head shakes, okay.
Get one going and then jump in the other.
Yes, I'll show you. Good, thank you, Leo.
Maybe half and half?
Maybe side and side, half and half, sure.
Or 2%?
2%, like 98%?
Yeah.
Cool. Essentially, when the other person says the word rain, you start, okay? So it's like, give up the rain, we could be rain. Give up the rain, give up the rain, we could be rain. Give up the rain. And now hold your reign, hold your reign. I mean, release the reins to the divine, but let your, hold the note rain, hold the rain until you start again, okay? Cool. Give up the rain. 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 Okay. Woo! There was a constant there. That was so magical. There was a constant there. It sounded like there was one note going through all of us, right? But that's not physically true. but this other constant supporting us emerged. Can we do it again just for joy and bliss purposes, which are functional? Give up the rain. Give up the rain. Give up the rain. Give up the rain. We could be rain. Give up the 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 rain. Ooh, give up the rain. Give up the rain. Give up the rain. We could be rain. Give up the rain. Give up the Beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you very much. Now we know what that could be. Cool. Okay. That was an experiment for us as well. And it was, thank you, Leo, for not letting me give up. Leon! Leon! Okay, I'm holding Shyla's note about not talking, and we're just gonna do it, and I'll tell you about it later. Okay. Hearing is a labor like reading. Hearing is a labor like keeping still. Hearing is a labor like seeing, like seeing for real. Hearing is a labor like reading. Hearing is a labor like keeping still. Hearing is a labor like seeing for real. Melts or burst, 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 melts or burst. I survived the fire. Okay, now, just announcing, we're going to make the transition into the talk part. So you can like recalibrate into the hearing, that kind of hearing dimension, ality. Well, as we sort of get the chairs up on the stage, I'll just tell you that for those of you who don't know what the hell we're talking about over here, just know that we barely do, so we're in good company. But this is the Songwrights Apothecary Lab. This is the third, well, really fourth, but edition of it, happening in Lower Manhattan here at the Clemente as part of the River to River Festival. Yes. And the way that the lab works is to be discovered. Every time we do it, we discover a little bit more about it. So the shape of it currently is us musicians, we come in with some prompts or with just a willingness to explore and be open. And we are in conversation with, in exploration with, in guidance and support with, certainly unseen forces, but the embodied versions of those forces, some of those forces, are our research team and what I call the council. So our researchers are folks who are invested as students, devoted as students in paths that relate to healing, to therapeutic practices, in this case, neuroscience and psychology. And our council are beings who are professionals in fields that relate to therapy and art. So in this case, today, with us in the room today, music therapy and drama therapy and psychology. So that's like the constellation of beings that are joining energies and exploring for the sake of creating works that are informed by what can be found through that kind of research and dialogue. Because it's ... So we're gonna just talk a little bit about who we are and what we've been doing. And just for those of you, for some people to know, we didn't actually get a chance to do our check-in and like update today, so we're just gonna have it right here with all of y'all. So that's what's about to happen. I introduce to you Dr. Marisol Norris. Okay, and doctoral candidate Britton Williams. Had to get my nomenclature right. And Grant Jones and Nivi Ravi are researchers. Come on. I'm gonna come up there too. I haven't vaccinated, but I'm just doing this because. First, I just want to read a poem about mushrooms. Oh, and also beaming in are Ganavya Doraiswamy, who's also like the lead researcher or supporting Nivi and Grant in their research. She is beaming in from Italy. She's in a fellowship right now. And also beaming in is Consuelo Tagiuri, who devised the environment, this luscious mushroom, mycelial-rich environment that this is happening in. But I really have to read this poem about mushrooms for y'all. This is by Sylvia Plath, and the poem is called Mushrooms. I don't know how it's related. Overnight, very whitely, discreetly, very quietly, our toes, our noses, take hold on the loam, acquire the air. Nobody sees us, stops us, betrays us. The small grains make room. Soft fists insist on heaving the needles, the leafy bedding, even the paving. our hammers, our rams, earless and eyeless, perfectly voiceless, widen the crannies, shoulder through holes. Unlike that person. We diet on water, on crumbs of shadow, bland-mannered, asking little or nothing. So many of us, so many of us. We are shelves, we are tables, we are meek, we are edible, nudgers and shovers in spite of ourselves. Our kind multiplies. We shall by morning inherit the earth, our foot's in the door. Thank you, Sylvia Plath. Thank you, Sylvia Plath. Thank you, Sylvia Plath. Okay. Okay. Exactly. It's like mushrooms, man. No, for real. So, what I thought we could do first in my notebook that got washed is just touch on each formula intention. So we came in here with a lot of really cool ideas, you know what I mean? We were like, oh, we're gonna make a formula for that, and a formula for this, and a formula for that, and through our conversations, the intentions kind of settled and shifted and morphed. And so now I'll just kind of do an overview of the formulas we've landed on that will ultimately go out to become the formulas that have come from the Lower Manhattan Songwrights Apothecary Lab. So we have a formula that's formula number 8. And the spirit of that formula is a formula that creates a sense of home that's so comfortable you don't need to leave, you don't need to go, you don't need to strive or effort. We have a formula that we mentioned, the amulet, formula 9, amulet number 1. And the intention is to create a force field to protect from the enchantments of others. Formula 10 is that reckoning. It's a place to be in reckoning and accountability. And maybe even just a space to name for ourselves, do that inventory for the sake of making it legible, and maybe we'll be less likely to initiate the same kind of harm again. Formula 11 is a formula that you heard first. That is a formula to help us slow down from our frenetic, busy, I'm a professional, I'm running everything, I'm doing my life, I'm in control, and I'm so busy I don't have time to talk to my grandma, or my elder neighbor, or my old great auntie. It's a formula to help us busy youngins slow down to a pace where we can actually be present with, hold space for, and listen to our elders. It's a preparatory song for when we are going to spend time with elders and are up here. Formula 12, which will happen not in this room because it involves an elder that couldn't meet our timeline. So we have to slow down, and we'll come back in August to be with that elder and co-create that formula with that elder. But formula 12 is a formula for reminding us critters, us young critters, or younger critters, that we need the wisdom, the presence, the knowing, the teaching, the memory of our elders, particularly women elders. It's that, and it's simultaneously intended to be a throne for our elders to sit in, particularly our women elders, to feel revered and valued and needed and necessary and glorious and resplendent and funky and all the things, all the beautiful things. I forgot one. Formula 7, I'm almost done talking. I'm hearing Shiloh's voice in my ear. This is funny that Formula 7, Formula 7, first we intended it to be the song equivalent of the Wrap It Up device. If any of you have seen the Dave Chappelle show, when you are caught in the clutches of someone who's talking so much, and it is like not attuned to the feedback you're giving them subtly with body language and trying to add punctuation, that you don't want to listen anymore to the outpouring. So the intention was for that formula to be with you, and you utilize it somehow. We hadn't gotten that far, to quell that dynamic so the person can gently stop talking and other things can continue to happen. Yeah, so those are the formulas that we're working with. I'm going to stop talking and hand it to y'all.
So, hi everyone. I think one of the things that are coming to mind right now is just the intentionality that's placed within music. So, my background is as a music therapist. I've worked for as a music therapist for probably around 10, 11 years, and also an educator in Philadelphia. And one of the points that I'm noticing across the formulas, and I think one of the early conversations I had with Esperanza in the beginning stages of the apothecary, is to be able to think about how we match intentionality with multiple streams of our creative force, right? And so, as we speak them, it seems like, of course we use music to transform, to heal, to shift energy, to connect. But to have that level of intentionality within our work is what, oftentimes what music therapy talk considers goals, interventions, those different things. But here, in a different space, different form, different shape, still utilizing intention for a key good, right? And so it kind of makes me think a little bit about, when we started that collective improv with consent, consent to speak and to voice and consent to be silent, right? Typically when we think about any type of vocal improv, there was research that was done around choral singing and what happens within choral singing, right? And so typically when you start getting it within a group collective soundscape or sound making, there are various parts of our bodies that start to align. Not only are our words aligning, that also links the different neural pathways, it links to the physiological aspects of our bodies starting to sync up, right? So our breathing starts now to sync up, and then it kind of carries on beyond a space. It's a place where connection can come, right? And so we do that often. We do a lot of different things often that later on, I think sometimes we think, what comes first, the chicken or the egg? I often think is the collective music making, the creation that comes, and then we find ways to make sense of those things, oftentimes through research and science and the ways in which that evolves. But being able to name those things are so very important, because then we see that the things that we think are mundane, or the things that we think that are just part of our everyday practice, yeah, it makes us feel good. We recognize, no, it makes us feel good for a reason, right? And there's so much history behind it. Sometimes it's ancestral knowing, sometimes it's ancestral knowledge that's also then backed by science. And so when you talk about these formulas, that's one of the things that comes to mind, is just like how intention and how naming something can be so very important in the work that we do.
I love that. I want to riff a little bit off the idea of intention and speak to nurturance, but before I do, I just have to say I love that it's Formula 7 and the wisdom of a 7-year-old. Yes. There just seems to be something that's a greater wisdom that exists in that, and a trust that the music that is created, the music that is co-created will tell me the story I need to hear. And of course, a 7-year-old would have that wisdom, because it's the older we get, the more we feel like we need to talk these things through and think our way through. And the younger we are, we just know that we have it in us. It's in us, and that the sound that I make is the story. So I just had to name that. And you started with mushrooms, and I love mushrooms. I love that mushrooms are all around us. And I'm thinking the first time I was in this space, learning about, the nurturance that's required for the mushrooms to grow. And that if the mushrooms aren't in their ideal environment, it might inform the way that they grow. And so just a riff, from a drama therapy point of view, I often am thinking about the space that gets created that allows for us to have the improvisational, the spontaneity imperative, which from a drama therapeutic perspective, our capacity for spontaneity and creativity is a direct link to our health. And so if the mushrooms need nurturance so that they can grow the way that they need to grow, we too, of course, as people, need nurturance so we can grow as we need to grow. Which means that when you give us the call of, how we sing the rain. Can we let it go? We may be the rain. That we can trust the spontaneity, the creativity that grows because you lay a roadmap, and in that, then I can find my own way. And the formulas for me have a sense of that there's an emergence, right? Even in the space that is being created today, many times you've said, this is still being created. And so, of course, in that means that there's space for emergence, which means there's space for health, right? That it is in the space where I can trust that something can emerge, that I don't have to pre-plan, that I don't have to so rigidly control, that I can find something that might be greater than if I just sit there and think it through. The last thing I just want to say, too, what I love about a formula of accountability as people who are in relationship to other people, it is inevitable that we will cause harm. That is an inevitability, a risk we always take in relationship. So it's one of the scariest things about relationship, and it's one of the biggest sources of shame when we hurt people, right? Think of like children. Again, the wisdom of children is always, it'll never lead us astray, right? They hurt someone, and they all of a sudden, they see that they've hurt someone, and, or they bite your finger and you go, ow, and then you see the face and you see the recognition, oh, I've caused you harm, that this is something that we always feel a threat against. Will I hurt someone and then not be accepted by them? There has to be a space to name, as you said, Esperanza. We have to name it, accept it as part of just being human. And it's when I then name it that I can face it. Because if I don't name it, I can't face it. If I don't face it, I can't work my way through it. So to create a space through music where we can acknowledge something that is so inherent to our relational being, where I can say, I am a human being, which means that sometimes I cause harm, even if it's not my intention. Can I find my way through that? Through being surrounded in sound where someone else is also telling me, I know that experience too. And then I remember, I'm not alone in this. This is not a Britain thing. This is a human thing. And a Britain thing. Right? Because I got to take accountability for that too.
Thank you all for all the brilliance that has been shared musically, cerebrally, spiritually, emotionally. Just thank you, everyone, really, because we're all co-creating this experience right now, which is the most amazing part about this emergent being that we all are collectively birthing. So again, my name is Grant Jones, and I've been one of the researchers for the Lower Manhattan Songwrights Apothecary Lab. It's been a blessing. It's been a marathon. It's been a deep rest. It's been all the things. And what I think it would be nice to give you all a sense of kind of what some of the work has entailed in terms of what it means to play the role of, sit in the shoes of, sit in the seat of researcher for this particular moment. And then I'll also pass it to Nivi, who I'm sure will have some beautiful reflections as well. So research here in this moment has meant expanding and broadening what research even is. I as Esperanza mentioned, am a PhD student right now, and as you all probably can imagine, research looks a very particular way with peer-reviewed articles and going through review boards to make sure that our studies meet a certain protocol and we produce a certain results that's filled with a certain numbers and metrics, and then that becomes knowledge, and then that knowledge becomes science, and that science is what we know. And that's not to denigrate that. There's something to that, and it allows us to create a repository of sorts, and some of our research has flowed from that place. So for some of these formulas, we look at peer-reviewed articles. For instance, for the formula for accountability, I spent time looking at a doctoral thesis that explored music therapy as it intersects with restorative justice, and the ways that music therapy practices can be of support for helping, not only to help individuals who are harmed within a victim and harmer, dyad, if we're going to want to make it that simple. But also, what can music do, and how can it be of support to help individuals who have caused harm? What can it mean to have music be a container where individuals can step in to the fact that they've caused harm? How can music help for communication if maybe language is too much, and maybe, you know, the space and the safety for conversation isn't there? Maybe music can become a platform for those kind of conversations to happen. And so that just gives you all a sense. There's many articles that we've poured over and mulled over and complicated and explored. But that just gives, you know, a lens into kind of what some of that research proper is. But I think for me, what it's really meant to be a researcher is to, we would take these articles and take this cerebral knowledge, and then we'd get together and we'd sit down and we'd chat, and I would be like, okay, so like, here's this, you know, here's this like research. And then for me, I think what was the most beautiful, magical, but also like, of courseness element of that process was that these peer-reviewed articles and the complication that necessarily follows in trying to ingest something, with clarity, and ingest something with all of its limitations and all of its inherent complications, means that it becomes a port key. It becomes a doorway for really tapping into some of that ancestral knowing. When you peel back, you know, the limitations of some of our knowledge, it becomes ultimately a seat for so many unforeseen forces to flow through. When you're really in earnest, sitting with the fact that maybe there's something that this is activating within you, and you don't know why, and it's activating something in your body, or it's something to, you know, use. I'm gonna borrow an expression. It hits you, you know. It just like does that, you know. It comes and it's just like, I don't know what that is, but like it's something, and that something, maybe it's like from your auntie, or maybe it's from your mom, or maybe it's from like this thing that somebody said to you on the street the other day that felt super resonant. It's like, oh my God, like that's amazing. Maybe it's all of that, and maybe that's what we're always doing all the time. And in fact, in my process, I feel like that. It is what I'm doing all the time, and sitting down and creating a container in which those we can invite all the sources of the reality of how we actually know information and how we actually hold information, inviting that all into the space. It becomes a place in which we can actually now do a stewardship of sorts of the information as we hold it within our various experiences into the music as it needs to flow, as it flows emergently. And so that's been really what it's meant for, at least in my process, to be a researcher. And it's been amazing because, kind of as we've been saying, like that process never stops. It's like, it's something that we all get to, in this moment and in the moments that follow, investigate for ourselves. And this investigation that's being opened here is, there are formulas that will come, but I hope and I feel that it can be the start of a different type of inquiry that we can all, invest in and explore together. So yeah.
Woo! Thank you,
Thank you.
Nivi, I just realized something. I forgot to do land acknowledgement at the beginning. So I would just love to do land acknowledgement. I'm sorry, everybody. This is a practice that I hold very dear, and I forgot. So if we could just take a moment. I acknowledge that the land we're standing on is the Lenni Lenape land, and I acknowledge Lenni Lenape people who are still present, who are still here, and offer gratitude and humility and a commitment to learn more about how my existence can be closer to an ally to the descendants of this land that was brutally seized, and we're still within the boundaries of the colonial occupation of Lenni Lenape land. This is Lenni Lenape land, and it's our privilege of sorts to be able to hold this work here. Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you all for the wisdom that you've shared, especially Grant for encapsulating our experience so eloquently. Hi, my name is Nivi. I'm also a researcher in the Songwrights Apothecary Lab. And as Grant has mentioned and laid out this framework for our research over the past week or so, we've really been drawing from different avenues of knowing and knowledge. And I thought maybe it would be interesting to hear about what some of this looks like in practice. So Esperanza mentioned how some of the formulas are related to honoring the elder women in our society and making space and breath to listen to them and learn from them. So I've looked into feminist theory and particularly the overlap of ageism and feminism and how the well-being of elder women is discussed very minimally in our present society. And so in a society, in a capitalist society that values productivity and places value on producing, a lot of our society urges elder women to produce in some way. However, what would it look like if we gave elder women the space, elder people in general, the space to just be and to be an advisory role in our society? So that has been something that I've been looking into and has informed some of the formulas that we are learning about. And there's this essay that Audre Lorde writes in which she speaks to younger women and asks them to examine the living memories in our community. And there's a lot of knowledge in what she offers in this essay and a lot of wisdom, and it just relates back to what Grant was saying about this inner knowing that we do have living memories in our community. And by reading this essay, we're reminded again about something that we know inside. And I think that has been eye-opening as well, to see your own thought process and your own inner reflection reflected in the pieces that you are reading in academia or in mythology. And that's been really special to dive into as well. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Nivi. Thank you, yo. Well, there's a lot of people involved in this lab, and I just want to name some of them out of celebration. You know, Eloise Dark and Nanette Nelms and Lily Chopra, and I said Fernando Lodeiro and T.L. Benson and Mike Yeye, and I'm forgetting the names of the people who are doing the live stream, but you are amazing, and gratitude to you. And who else? A lot of people. All of y'all, glories. And Leo Genovese and Mathew Stevens and Aaron Burnett. You know, we want to hear from you too if anything's moving. Did you want to share, reflect, call down, call in, throw down, unfold, fold?
I say something.
Yes, please. You want to come use this microphone?
No, it's okay. Is the internet catching my voice? Yes. Hello.
Internet. Excuse me.
Hello. Hello, internet.
Okay, now. I just want to say that some of the pieces you heard, we had a little bit more time to work on than other ones you heard. Perhaps you did not notice, or perhaps you did. We certainly did. But I want to say that that doesn't seem important right now. There is something that, some magic power that the music carries that transcends the concept of mistakes and the concept of rehearsing and preconceived ideas, and it's something that has to do with purpose, and when you just go for it, you always make it. Even if you're not making it, you always make it. Yeah, that's all I have to say.
Thank you, Leo.
Hello. Okay. Wait. Am I on the internet now too?
Yes.
Okay. All right. I'm blocked by these things, so maybe you can't see me. Well, all I can say is like I'm very happy to be a part of this project and this lab because it's very uplifting. It's showing like camaraderie. It's showing like creative camaraderie. Like a lot of things that I look for in my life are here right now. And it's a lot of love. And the music is very spiritual to me. Very spiritual. It like touches me, makes me appreciate being here, breathing air. Every day that I'm on God's earth, I'm happy, and this is a wonderful experience. And this world right now, especially through all we've been through, and y'all know what I'm talking about, we need a lot of love, a lot of healing, a lot of understanding, a lot of listening. We need a lot of those things right now. And yeah, I'm being really, I feel like being preachy, but it's okay. I love all of you here, and I thank you for being here. And that's pretty much all I have to say. I'm a saxophone player. I mean, I could talk for days. So let's just. I'm just gonna give this away now.
Can I say one more thing? There's been a very no, I'm not going to say it. We're just going to make music. Thank you all so much for being here and helping us learn about what we're doing, We're exploring. It's a lab, and it's just been so blissful to receive the people who choose to come here and give your time, which is the most precious, sacred thing you have, your time and attention. Offer it into this space because it helps us find the shape of it and feel what we're talking about, what we're doing about. So just really thank you for coming in and holding the space. I forgot to mention Elizabeth. I can't pronounce your last name. Also one of the beings that made this possible. Praise. Yes. And I'd just like to shout out to all of the students that were in the Songwrights Apothecary Lab this last spring, one of whom was Grant Jones. It really, really helped form the feel and the shape of this. And Dr. Norris was one of the council members for that lab. So just in case you're watching, your presence and devotion and hard work really was so integral for me and us to discover more of what we're doing here. It's really hard to stop talking, but I'm going to now, and we're going to play music, and then that's the end. And thanks for tuning in. And Mathew Scheiner, who's also integral. My God. Okay. So remember how I was talking about that formula? That has to do with. What's gonna play? You can please join in the singing if you feel so inclined. I want to let you know that this is the end of the program. I invite you to depart, and we will accompany you as you leave. So you can carry the sound into the street, into the evening, into the next part of your day. We're probably not going to stop for a while, but you will have to leave. So it's going to be interesting. Yeah, just thank you all again. Please sing. Please also leave when it's time to leave. And please take the music with you when you go. When it's time to sing, you can join me. I'll bring us in.
that looks like my gig too. Right?